What's up everybody, I'm Derek, this is Rocking eForge, and today I'm going to be forging a monkey tool. So let's get rocking. Today I'm starting out with a 6-inch long piece of 3/4 inch mild steel round stock. My goal today is to make a 1/4 inch monkey tool for dressing the corners of 1/4 inch tenons or making 1/4 inch rivets. If you want to go bigger, you should probably use a slightly larger stock, like 1 inch round or 1 inch square, like the one you see on screen. This was made from 1 inch square, mild steel, and it's made for dressing 3/8 inch tenons. But I wanted to make a slightly smaller one and make a video in the process. The first thing I'm going to do here is just forge this into a blunt square taper. This is going to become the struck end of the monkey tool. And now that I've got that established and kind of down where I want it, I'm just going to blend that up toward the other end of this. I'm not going to make this a perfectly square cross section all the way up, but I do want to at the very least put in a flat side on the stock so that I can rest it on the anvil and then punch through it with a slot punch. But if it's round, it's obviously not going to stay put. I don't know if you can tell, but my anvil is much less ringy than it was even in my previous video, thanks to the magnet I've got on the heel and the new mounting that I've got. So if you want to see how I remedied that, go check out my previous video. And I've got a nice subtle taper down toward the struck end, and I've pretty well established flats that I can use to punch through with my slot punch. So before I spin this around and work on the business end of the monkey tool, I'm going to forge down on these corners just to knock down that square cross section into an octagon and kind of further taper that portion of the end that will be struck. I'm going to give this thing a quick brush just to try to get rid of some of that excess scale. And then I'm going to flip this around and work on just kind of squaring up this cross section ever so slightly. I want this tool to taper pretty much all the way back to the struck end. That's just the look I'm going for. All right, so now I've got this kind of preform done. We're going to throw this back in the fire and get to punching the slot in the monkey tool. And I'll explain the purpose of that as we go. And I'm going to start a little bit different. First of all, we're going to punch this slot about 1 inch from the tip, as close to center as we can eyeball it. And I'm going to start with my fuller. Ooh, I'm going to try to start with my fuller. Make sure you're looking at your tool that you're striking. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I personally have a hard time getting my flat-tipped slot punch seated on a piece and in the same location every time. So I'm kind of carrying this over from what I usually do with my ball end punch while forging round holes. It's just getting started with my handheld fuller. This gives me the ability to reposition the slot because I got it a little off center before I come in with the flat-faced slot punch. Now that I've got that pretty well established, I can come in with the slot punch and start punching that through the center of this bar. And if this is starting out ugly for you, don't worry too much about it. One, it won't affect the actual usefulness of the tool, but two, I'm going to end up drifting this with a hammer eye drift, and I ended up off center regardless. Now I'm going to come back in without my little hold fast and continue to punch this hole, spinning it each time I punch and cooling the tip of my punch every so often. And the reason I'm doing that is to eliminate some of the variation in how I hold my hand. If I'm holding my hand consistently at an angle every time I come in, this is obviously exaggerated, but every time I come in and punch down on it, I'm going to end up angled through the piece. The theory here is if I'm punching at an angle and then spinning around and theoretically maintaining that angle when I'm punching, it will eventually average out the angle and should theoretically get pretty close to center on the backside of that punch. And obviously the hotter you get the piece, the farther you'll get through the piece in each strike. And that's a good illustration of there will come a point where you get through partway through the piece and your slot punch will start to stick. And to try to help avoid that, I put a little bit of forge scale or grinding dust in the hole, a little bit of a friction or variation in the bottom of that hole to help release the tip of the punch. It helps better when you don't spill water in your bucket full of, or a container full of that. And when it's actually dry, but we're gonna keep going anyway. And it's worth noting here, you do want to cool the tip of this punch every couple of hits once you start getting deeper into the piece. And the reason for that is because if you don't, you will overheat the tip of your punch, and at the very least ruin the temper, and at the worst, rivet your punch into the inside of that hole, and you'll never get it out, and you'll ruin a punch and mess up whatever piece you're working on. So make sure to cool your punches. All right, so the goal in your punching efforts is to get far enough through the piece that you start to see the impression of the punch on the backside of the area that you're punching. As you can see, I got very off center here, but that shiny spot on the backside of what's going to become a monkey tool is the point that you will want to back punch through in order to punch out the small amount of steel slug that is left over in that hole and result in a nice cleanly punched hole. Now you can tell I've picked up a bit of a curve from the punching process, so I'm going to correct that first and then come in and recompress that slug right before I back punch so that I can see the impression of the punch on the backside again, redevelop that shiny spot after I've straightened everything, and then I'm going to back punch at or below a kind of dull red heat. You don't want to punch too hot because if you do, you'll end up deforming and dragging steel into the hole, whereas the goal now is to simply shear out the little plug of steel that's left over in that hole, and the colder steel is, the easier it is to shear. All right, so I've got the plug sheared. I just need to actually knock it out. We're gonna come over the hardy hole to do that. Well, this is certainly not the cleanest hole I've ever punched, but it will do. All right, so now I'm gonna come in and drift this to widen the hole. And in order to kind of shift that back toward the center, I'm cooling the side that is bulged further out. I'm gonna use my hammer eye drift to forge down inside that hole. And then to release my drift, I'm going to hammer down on what's going to become the business end, and that should widen that hole slightly and release the grip on the drift. Now I'm not going to cool off my drift because the hotter this stays, the more heat stays into the part that I'm trying to widen, and that will help me get more work done per heat. And you want to make sure that your piece is very, very hot for this. Then I'm going to come in one more heat and cool off that one side again, and then we can start working on getting that shaped up a little better. All right, so I've got that hole moved back to the center-ish, and it's wide enough now that whatever hole I drill through the end of that will be fully sufficient to completely outlet into that hole. I don't know how better to describe it. Basically, the intent is going to be drill a hole all the way through there. And the purpose of this slit or hole now is if you're putting in a tenon, a hot tenon, or a hot rivet into this monkey tool, you don't want that to butt up against the surface of the inside of the tip or the inside of that hole and rivet itself into the monkey tool. So this allows not only a little bit of gas or steam to escape if there's any trapped water in there, and prevents you from riveting your tenon into the inside of your monkey tool. All right, so now that we've made this tool functional, we get to move on to making it aesthetically pleasing. So I'm gonna drop this drift back in here. I'm just gonna hammer it in ever so slightly, and I'm just gonna start forging on each side of the cheeks of that hole, primarily on the thicker side of the drift, not on the cheeks, so to speak, toward the thinner side. And I just want to kind of even these out, flatten them out a little bit, make this kind of flat line smoothly transition all the way up to the tip. I'm not actually trying to spread the cheeks here in so much as I'm just trying to even out the surface and make it look a little nicer. So next heat, I'm going to come in from the opposite direction and forge down on the other kind of edge of those cheeks and see what I can do to make this look a little prettier. And I just want to straighten this out now. Kind of forge the edges of these cheeks in line with this kind of surface. And it looks like I've picked up a little bit of a curve, which I don't want. And in order to fix that, I'm going to grab my drift back, and then I'm going to perfect. The reason I grabbed my drift is because I didn't want to collapse the hole, but I wanted to forge down with the cheek in contact with the anvil so that it would kind of correct that bend back this direction. Now that I've got the forging process all finished, I'm going to take this and lock this in the vise, and I'm going to run a round file or a half round file into the inside of the eye to kind of clean up the inside and even out the eye there. And that'll help kind of shift a little bit of that eye further toward this side. And then I'm going to cool it down and take it to the grinder just to kind of even everything out before I do the final drilling of the hole through the business end. And yes, I am doing this hot, and that's simply because the file will actually cut better into the hot steel than it would in cold steel. All right, so now I'm going to lock this in my little drilling vise. Try to get this as level as possible. Okay. And then we're going to lower this slightly so that I can fit my measurement device on here, my little square, and I'm going to mark the center of this. And to facilitate that, I'm just going to color in roughly where the center is. Measure this out. And then come in and center punch where I'm going to drill. That should be good. And then using a 1/4 inch drill bit, drill out the center of our spot. And then I'll use a larger drill bit to come in and chamfer the edge of that hole. Ever so slightly to remove the sharp corner on the inside of that hole. So not only can this tool be pretty useful in setting rivets or heading rivets, if you were to set a upset piece of material in here and then hold it onto a rivet header. You could head over the end of that rivet, and then all you have to do is cool the rivet down and then drop it out of the monkey tool, which could also prove useful in a future project I have in mind. But also it's very useful for cleaning up the shoulder of a tenon, which I will show you quickly right now. Now that I've got the tenon roughed in, I can use this to dress the corner of that tenon, which doesn't look perfect here because I did this pretty quickly, but it makes a nicer transition and corner around this kind of edge of the tenon and establishes a more sharp cornered transition. If you mean to rivet things together by putting a tenon on the end of a bar, sliding something over that tenon, and then riveting the head of that tenon down, a nicer, flatter transition would look significantly better. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, leave a comment, hit subscribe, or ring that notification bell. If you want to support me in the channel further, please consider becoming an honorary striker on my Patreon. That link is in the description below the video. Or please consider becoming a member on my YouTube channel. And as always, keep on rockin'.